What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I want to talk about the bank earnings that just came out, the PPI report, and also what's going on with some big news affecting the markets. Before I break anything down, all this information, let me just mention a couple of things. Firstly, I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo and deposit $100 into the account, you are guaranteed up to 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed up to 15 free stocks, and this offer ends very soon. Anyways, looking at SPY, this thing's been range bound for today so far during the pre-market, kind of going back and forth and back and forth. If you look at the overall data, the PPI report was quite decent. This was actually helping the market bounce a bit, but the bank earnings were kind of mixed. I would say they're more good than bad, if anything, but a little bit mixed. I'm going to break down the data for you guys just very quickly. So, PPI came out year over year at 1%, aligned with expectations. A little bit hotter than the previous report, but not that bad. Still close to expectations. Core PPI year over year was 1.8% below expectations, which is technically bullish. So overall, PPI was a little bit more good than bad. A slight increase year over year, but this is what was expected. Not bad whatsoever. When it comes to other pieces of news, at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, watch for some volatility as Kashkari from the Fed is going to be giving a speech. We'll see what he says involving the rate cuts or anything like that, as we just got the PPI report. So since PPI was decent, this is so far decent for the markets, helped the market push a little bit. But now we have the big bank earnings that came out. How are these looking? In my opinion, they were mixed, but more good than bad, if anything. So we'll start off with Bank of America. This actually beat on EPS, but it missed on revenue overall, and their guidance was kind of okay in my opinion. JP Morgan Chase beat on EPS and revenue from what I'm seeing. Citigroup, they beat on EPS, but revenue was a small miss. And then Wells Fargo, they actually missed on EPS, but they beat on revenue. And then finally, it was BlackRock, which ended up beating on everything. So you guys could see that very mixed report. Most banks did well, but we had some misses here and there when it came to EPS and revenue. Kind of mixed overall, but a little bit more good than bad. Now, a couple of things to know before the market opens. We're basically wrapping up this week so far, and right now the market is very, very mixed. This week, the SP, excuse me, the S&P 500 is up 1.77%. Nasdaq is up more than 3%. So far we're improving a bit this week, with the big bank earnings coming out. So we're watching to see how the U.S. banks have been navigating through the high interest rates, with the rising loan losses. That's very important. CPI went up a bit, but PPI was actually kind of decent thus far. So that's actually a positive sign for the economy, which is saying right here. As far as tech goes, Google is cutting several hundreds of jobs across its hardware, central engineering, and voice activated Google Assistant teams. This is a little bit negative news for them, but they announced these layoffs alongside Amazon from the previous week as well. And besides that, Delta Airlines has more than doubled its fourth quarter profits as travel demand is going up, which is once again good news for them. And guidance is not looking that bad either. So not bad whatsoever. We got some, decent earnings, lots of beats here and there, but kind of mixed for some other sectors. For SPY, as a reminder, let's just double check this real quick. SPY has basically for today a 1.56 put to call ratio, max pains at 472, so keep that in mind. And I also want to note that Tesla had lots of bad news coming out. Basically, Tesla's been raising, they're basically cutting prices in China. We have China price cuts, and the German plant shut down due to the Red Sea violence. Negative news for Tesla. This has caused it to sell off quite a bit. And with this coming out, with them starting to reduce their prices due to slowing demand, it's once again hurting Tesla a lot. Tesla's been tanking during the pre-market. So now let's break down what's going on with the charts. Very simply, guys, SPY has been range bound, going back and forth between supply and demand. So in the morning, SPY has this resistance around 477. There's some resistance there. There's also resistance at 476, which is going to be our support. So SPY has this resistance zone very close to 477. We have some support at 475, but also more support at 474.25. So we have this support down here, and then we have this resistance above here as well. We've been going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth throughout the entire pre-market. If you want to turn bullish, I think it's just going to remain range bound for the most part. But to turn bullish, you want to see this thing hold above 477, try to close above there. If it does so, there is going to be more bullish potential. If we fail to do so, if there's some kind of sell-off as a result of the, when Kashkari gives his speech at 10 o'clock a.m., then we're going to see a break below this resistance in this range. If we lose 475, watch 474.25 to 474. If we lose that, if we lose 474.25, I could see this thing sinking back down to the lower levels like 472.92. So closing below 474 would be a little bit more bearish. If we end up losing that, holding above 477 would be bullish. Otherwise, we're just range bound, going back and forth and back and forth. That's all we're doing during the pre-market. All right, so watch your supply and demand zones very, very carefully. We'll see how SPY ends up holding up. It's just continuing to hold up. It's trying to push right now when we open, so we might see a little push, but we'll have to see if this could hold up. If we get above 477, make sure you watch resistance at 478. If we get above that, there's potential for it to go all the way up to 480. As of right now, it's kind of range bound, so we'll just see how it holds up. At the end of the day, don't forget about max pain at 472 on SPY. So watch the range and see which way it breaks. For Tesla, the stock price has been decimated because we had some very bad news that has come out. Price cuts in China, production cut for 2 weeks in Berlin. So as far as Tesla goes, this is still barely holding support at 220. If that fails us, we're going to be looking for a move all the way down to 218. And below that, I mean, I'm seeing the levels all the way down to the 215s coming, 213.8, 212, 210. Those are the other supports. Now, one could argue we have kind of like a falling wedge-like pattern, which is sure the case, but there's no sign of it bouncing quite yet. We're still kind of downtrending, so we're going to be watching to see how Tesla holds around here. This morning is trying to hover around the 220 area. We'll see if it could hold this. If it loses this, expect a lot more downside. 218 could be coming, followed by like the 215s. If it bounces off of this, we need to see a nice clean breakout, and we need to see this thing try to hold above 220. If it does so, watch for 222.5, 223.5, and if we break all of those, we have a gap to fill at 225. Otherwise, Tesla's looking relatively weak. Very, very bad news has come out, and unfortunately, the stock price is getting hurt by demand issues, at least for the short term. So watch the levels, guys. Unfortunately, Tesla is dropping. There is a bullish falling wedge developing, but there's no sign of a bounce quite yet. So we'll be very patient, at least for the time being. For the QQQ, just like SPY, this thing is pretty much just range bound. We have resistance around this 410 area, or very close to 410. Actually, it's close to like 409.75. We have support at 408 and also around this 4. There's some support at 407, but it's very minor. We have 405.71 below that, and then 404 as support. So if we break close to 410, we're going to be looking for a push for 412. If we lose 407, watch it come down to 405.72 and eventually 404. Overall, I would just watch this range on the triple Q. We're trying to push, so we might push when we open. But once again, we're just range bound for now, going back and forth and back and forth. I'll be watching to see which way we break. You guys can see how it's between supply and demand. So be patient, see which way we break, and then we'll just see how it goes from there. The best thing to do is just wait a little bit longer, and otherwise we're just going to be stuck in this range for an extended period of time. Now, with these tests coming, there's going to be an attempt to go higher, most likely. It might try temporarily, but it might come back down later. So we might see a lot of sideways price action just to start off today. And we'll have to see which way it breaks just for confirmation. On Nvda, same thing is going on. We have another range that's developing. Nvidia is just kind of shopping around the 545 is like around that range, back and forth and back and forth. So if we try to break out, you're going to be watching resistance at 548, then we have 550, 552.5, and eventually 555. So resistance is very tight on Nvidia. For support, you're going to be watching 545. If that fails us, we have 542, 540, and 536 coming next. As of right now, it's just back and forth and back and forth price action. We're kind of range bound. So we'll have to see how it goes. We do have this gap to fill over here, so it might actually push a little higher when we open. I could see Nvidia pushing a bit, getting very close to at least 548 to 550, but then I think it's just going to go back and forth between 550 and 542, back and forth and back and forth. If we lose 542, expect a bigger drop that's coming. If we manage to break above 515 and hold above it, I mean, watch these highs up here. We could see Nvidia just remain range bound today, and we'll see which way it breaks. But that's all it's really doing, back and forth price action. So we'll just have to be patient. And then for Aapl, it's the same thing essentially. Aapl has resistance. You guys can just look at the chart right now. You could see 185.6 ish around there. We have this resistance. If we try to break this, we could get close to 186.5. Well, we have 186, then 186.5. Support, you have 185, then you have 184.5 and 184.25. If we lose that, we turn more bearish. So if we lose the 184.25 to 184.5 range of supports, it's going to be dropping down to 183.5. If it breaks 185.5 to 185.6, this range over here of resistance, look for a push for 186.5. If that breaks, could get close to this wick right here to 187. Otherwise, it's just back and forth price action. If you look at Aapl, it's been stuck within a range. So watch and see where the bigger break comes. Otherwise, we're just going to be stuck for now. The market is still kind of indecisive taking in the mixed bank earnings. All right, so watch for some volatility once Kashkari starts his speech at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that's pretty much it for now. We'll be watching our levels, guys. So watch your levels very carefully today. Be very patient, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for listening, and peace out.